So today we are chatting about how perfectionism holds you back. And for those who don't know me, I'm Kim. I help female entrepreneurs to overcome anxiety and perfectionism in 21 days. So it's kind of ironic to me that I am doing this video because I used to definitely describe myself as a perfectionist, and I thought it was a good thing. I thought that being a perfectionist meant you were discerning. I thought that it meant that you just had a high standard for doing things. But along the way, I realized that perfectionism just holds you back, because when you are waiting for things to be perfect before you are going to put them out, you are wasting time that you could be taking action building your business, or like something that it doesn't need to be perfect. And like, what is perfect anyways? Like, people are spending hours and hours and hours editing like a YouTube thumbnail because it needs to be perfect, when it's like, well, you could have created 5 other YouTube videos and grown your channel during that time. So a lot of the time my clients would be like, oh, it just needs to be perfect. I need this to look a certain way. I need to get my branding right. I need to do the logo before I can launch my business. And I'm like, is that true though? I can think of tons of businesses that created success for themselves without a website, without professional branding, without a logo. So those are just excuses. And why do we have those excuses? Because we're trying to cover up for a fear of something, a fear that we're not good enough, a fear that people are going to call us out. And so at the root of perfectionism is fear. It's like when you are afraid that what you're doing isn't enough, so you need to overcompensate by it being quote unquote perfect, and that's going to somehow make up for it and is going to protect you from everyone's opinion, and no one will be able to find a fault with you, which is like, people will always be able to find a fault with you. So trying to protect yourself from something that is inevitably going to happen at some point in time, and the bigger you grow your business, the more likely this is to happen to you, is like counterproductive. Because when you're waiting for everything to just be perfect or right before you put it out there, it's never going to happen. You have to be okay with putting out, like, I hate to use this term, but in writing, it's like a shitty first draft. You have to do that before you can get to the better version of it. When I think of what my website looked like the first time I created it, it doesn't look anything like how it looks right now, but I wouldn't have the website now if I didn't make those first websites that looked how they did. So you see what I'm getting at? Like, nothing is going to be perfect the first time I do it. So trying to get it to be that way is just slowing you down from taking action, and taking consistent action is going to be what grows your business. So you have to get comfortable with things being good enough. And I'm not saying do an average job. I'm not saying do subpar work. I'm saying, like, be good enough. Be okay with doing things to the point that they're good enough, that it's the best you could do at that point in time, and then moving on. Like, I put stuff out where I'm sure there's typos, where things aren't perfect, and does anyone get mad? No. Does it affect the quality of work that I do with my clients? No. Am I a happier person? Like, would I be happier without those? Probably not, because, like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. What matters when you're growing a business is like taking consistent, messy action. So you have to be okay with figuring out things being to the point of good enough, and this will create the momentum. Because when you just keep creating, when you keep putting things out there, when you build that consistency, that's when your business gets momentum. That's when you get momentum, and that's when your business is able to grow. And when you have momentum and clients, that's when you're going to have money, and then you have money and you can pay people to do the things that are outside of your zone of genius. I see a lot of entrepreneurs at the beginning, they're like, oh, I'll just go invest in professional branding and that will make me look like professional. And it's like, nobody cares about your branding. They care about how you can help them, and you can do something good enough in Canva until you get to the point where you can easily afford someone. But if you're just waiting to save up money for someone to do professional branding for you because you think that's what's going to make your business viable, well, I have news for you. It's not going to happen that way. It's like, it's so much better to test your concept in the market, see if it's viable, see what people actually want, and then if you are onto something that is making you money, then you can invest in the brand. Then you want to put money back into it. But you don't want to do that before you're certain that your thing is going to actually work for you. And I see a lot of people hiding behind, like, oh, I just need to get a professional website and then I'll launch my thing. And I'm like, okay, that seems a little backwards, because you can get a good enough website from a template on Wix, and that will serve you and get the point across until you can build a better website. So at the end of the day, perfectionism is just a fancy way of procrastinating. It is fear, and it's like what happens when you're afraid of the outcome. Like, we procrastinate because it means that we don't have to do something, because if we do something, then we are trying to get away from the feeling that we have associated with doing the thing. And if we're uncertain about the thing that we're doing, we're hiding from the feeling that somebody could potentially reject us or tell us what we're doing isn't good enough. And we're afraid that it will mean that we're not good enough, or like someone will criticize you or someone will reject you. And the thing is if you're human and you're alive, you already just are enough. Like, just know that right now. And whether your website and branding is perfect or not is not going to change that. Whether someone on the internet says it or doesn't says it, it's not going to change that. So just know that that's not even on the table for consideration. And then also, if you're afraid of rejection and you're afraid of people criticizing you, like, don't get into running a business, because the bigger your business gets, the more that's going to happen, and it's just inevitable. So the way that you need to start seeing it is like, nothing has a meaning until you create a meaning out of it. Humans are meaning making machines. We're making meaning out of everything, every second of the day, from the moment we get up to the moment we go to sleep, and probably while we're in our sleep as well. So if you can choose what things mean and what it means to you, it's up to you to choose a more empowering story. It's like they say, like, if you're nobody unless you have haters. So unless you want to build that level of success, well, you're gonna have to get used to someone not liking it. So that's that on that. If you are ready to overcome anxiety and perfectionism in 21 days, I can help you with that. So book in a strategy call with me and we can chat about how I can help you overcome this. So I hope you